Good morning and welcome to this recorded edition of Sifting Through the Rubble. Today, we continue with our series on why questions, and we move to something a bit less classical sounding, even though actually it's rather classical. And the question is, why daily recess? Our approach to recess is one that encompasses all grade levels here at Memorial Lutheran School, from the youngest children in their preschool days all the way up to our nascent high schoolers who have joined us this year in ninth grade and next year in 10th. Recess is a daily part of life at Memorial Lutheran School. For some grades, it's multiple times a day. For most, it's one time, but for longer than, say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes. There are many sources out there which give accolades to the practice of recess on a frequent basis. Almost an hour a day is recommended by as various sources as the CDC and Stanford University. To have daily recess is to allow children to not only engage others socially in sport, in play, but also to have a break for the mind from the taxing academic work that occurs in a classical Lutheran school. Recess reduces disruption in the classroom. It helps students stay on task in the classroom. It even improves memory, attention, concentration. It improves social and emotional development. And as is evident from recess as a whole, it increases physical activity. Kindergarten and third grade are two of our most active classes where multiple recesses a day is the norm. Unstructured time where children can go and play with each other and get a break from the daily grind, so to speak, even though their time in the classroom is certainly joyful. If we're going to tax students, have them process difficult material, memorize, recite, write, sit, focus, they need time to relax. They need time to play. They need time to recharge by spending energy to be suitable for learning later on in the morning or later in the afternoon, to have a good whole day as students. Now, a couple of years ago, the middle school students, 6th through 8th grade, only had about 15 minutes of daily recess. When we restructured the schedule, we gave them 40 per day, 40 minutes of recess. And this immediately had positive consequences. Grades improved, behavior improved, not to mention that we coupled our discipline practice with recess. So every time missing assignment or late to class or shenanigan in class, each of those infractions resulted in 10 minutes of walking during recess time instead of getting to play. Even this year, in order to ensure the drama club has time to practice, we practice during lunch or recess, and the students are loath to have their recess time taken away. And there's good reason for that. They need their recess time. It is good for their bodies. It is good for their souls. It is good for their friendships. It sometimes is good to learn through stressful occasions. The arguments that friends have on the playground that help you understand confession and absolution and better ways to be friends. Negotiating who has what toy or what use of what playground. All of these skills are skills learned by having recess on a daily basis. Now, there certainly could be naysayers, people who, when we're talking about recess for 6th grade through our future 12th grade in a few years to come, people could say, well, why are you using your time like that? Shouldn't students be in class? Isn't it more useful and more beneficial for them to have extra class time? And although certainly arguments can be made for having longer classes or more classes, and they're too old for that sort of thing, the benefits of recess, of social time, of play time, of extra running, or turning it into some sort of an exercise time if they don't want to play games when they're older, this makes the rest of the school day flow much smoother. It is good for the students. It is good for the teachers. It's good for the school. It's good for a peace of mind, making sure that our students are able to not only learn effectively, converse with friends and faculty during class, but also play effectively, have that downtime that they need to be good students. Daily recess is something that goes very well, if not hand in hand, with a classical education. Because a classical education is not merely an academic education. It is an education that cares about the body and the soul. It cares about physical activity and about friendship. It cares about Latin, and it cares about grammar, and it cares about history, and how all of these pieces, math, PE, sport, English, science, history, art, music, how all of these pieces combine together in the one person, in the student. Daily recess is an essential component to the life of a classical Lutheran student, whether it be once, twice, or three times even for some of the younger children. That outside time makes all of the inside time that much more effective, that much more beneficial, that much more productive in training young minds how to think and young hearts in what to do. Now, certainly more can be said with regards to why recess, why daily recess, the benefits of such a time. Recess needs to be in schools. It needs to be adequate amount. It can't merely be a few minutes. It exists for the purpose of physical benefit. It exists for the purpose of social and emotional benefit. It exists for the purpose of, as we said, friendship and joy. And it exists to give students' minds time to rest, to be engaged in other activities. As we continue through our sifting through the rubble, there's all sorts of opportunities for discussions as to why this or why that sort of thing. Most of the time we spend our time as a classical Lutheran school answering questions about why Latin, why this subject, why not technology, why cursive, why this book. But it is important to remember that physical activity is beneficial to the body and the soul of the student. This session is pre-recorded because tomorrow and Friday, I will be attending the third grade outdoor education field trip. Usually our school goes on outdoor ed as a group, first through fifth grade to Camp Lone Star in LaGrange. This year we split up each class to its own trip according to teacher and parent preference. And so some grades have gone overnight, others have gone for singular days. Those single day trips are coming up in April. Outdoor education ties in very well with the concept of daily recess because outdoor education cares for the body. It cares for interacting with the world. It cares for interacting with nature, with others. It develops in students, in young children, leadership, a sense of adventure, a sense of curiosity, a sense of appreciation for the world that is around them, that God has created for them to be stewards of. Outdoor education is another quote unquote essential part of education here at Memorial Lutheran School. Building a strong foundation requires physical exertion. It requires running, it requires playing, it requires negotiating, learning how to live with one's neighbors in the class or in other classes. It requires recess. Here at Memorial, we are proud to fight for more recess for our students, regardless of their age, in order to allow little minds and little bodies, big minds and big bodies, times to relax, time for enjoyment in a different way than in the classroom, and time to care for the bodies God has given them as they build a strong foundation for the purposes of living in this world and the next. This short Sifting Through the Rubble is pre-recorded on why daily recess. Stay tuned for more Sifting Through the Rubble after Easter here from Memorial Lutheran Church and School.